themselves all the way down. And when you're on height, we saw the difficulty mainly from Chapex's team, with Hen as well, when they had very minimal materials. What'd you do? You can't waterfall. You just have to make a leap of faith or try stay up in zone for some reason at that point, but just was not enough. Crazy game from Reason, Vidil, and O'Reilly, though.
What a finish, right? Vidil and Reason closing things out there in just such spectacular fashion. Like, Zeke, your excitement represents the Fortnite world right now. When you see them drop down into the river, you think when they're dropping, I'm like, oh no, this is like going horribly wrong. They drop down in the river, they're able to survive and then win the game. What a way to start. What a way to start. You were one of the teams that auto-called last season. You want to start how you mean to finish. We talked about them righting the wrongs of last season's finish. This is the way to come back and kick things off in the FNCS. This is just the best finals ever. It's confirmed already.
Game one, and it's already the best.
It's already the best. It's already the best.
Absolutely. And the crazy thing, this was by far the most aggressive match in the history of the FNCS. More trios fell in the first 4 minutes of just this game than in any other previous FNCS we have seen. Reese, you have pulled the clips for us. There's so many things that happened in this early game. High-profile trios we thought were going to be okay. No! This is finals!
There are a ton. You also said it's from any FNCS, any region as well. But looking over to Retail Row, this is a team. Look, silly. All 6 teammates from 3 teams each, for the 2 teams each, all land on the same building and go for the same loot. This is from Wolfie's team, Kiko's team down in Retail Row. But look how it ends. This is just pure BM from Scram right here. Pickaxe to pick up the win on Wolfies.
6 players landing on one building. I feel like it's Tilted Towers all over again back in Chapter 1. Look, you can see here, this was the first fight we watched, and it was the one everybody had their eyes on because Janice, Chapex, and Hen, there was questions about whether they'd be able to deal with the off-spawn contestation. And they finished the game third after winning off-spawn. You can see Hen coming in and cleaning up. This is a way to start the tournament. They are going to be so good if they can just deal with this off-spawn fight. Take a look at Holly Hedges, Reese. This was a really interesting one because you can see iDrop here in the 1v1 wasn't able to win it out in the end. You can see it comes down to these final shots. It was so close because, iDrop and his trio had said they were going to land Orchard before. Then they did the little fake out and they went to actually try and contest Fremok's team. It didn't work out in Holly Hedges. But will they continue to land there? Will they eventually go Orchard? That's going to be interesting to see.
The little Skype classic from Qualifier 2, right? But looking over at how this affected the leaderboards, look, we saw our big victory royale coming out from Reason, Noah Riley, and Vidil first with 54. But something that went completely under the radar was our low to mid-ground team, Wolfie, Fremok, and Default. 15 eliminations. 15. They were absolutely blowing up in the qualifiers and probably had the highlight moment in terms of just pure bullying in endgame and mechanics from the entire of the FNCS so far, we think. And look, they're probably doing the exact same things again with 15 elims. But again, third place, Hen, Janice, and Chapex after winning off spawn. So let's be real, easily. I will say it looked very, very easy for these guys. They managed to go all the way up into third, still capitalizing on that game. So these guys still have a crown on their head.
Look at this top 10. Like, this is just all these players that are here. So impressive. And I just can't wait to see as it unfolds, as everything sort of plays out, who will be the teams here towards the end of tomorrow. Look, we talked about Fremok, Wolfie, and Default. 15 elims, that's ridiculous. That's a whole highlight reel worth of elims right there. You could create a whole montage for them just from that game, but we'll see how they sort of continue to do. Obviously, winning off spawn definitely helped them momentum in that game. If we take a look at that next page, though, and see who are the teams from 11th to 20th, you can see here Blast and Nico and Alpha. They won off spawn against Savid, Rifle, and Crizzy. That's going to be a good sort of place to watch out for Weeping Woods. Who's going to come on top of that battle? Forzia, Tayson, and Nate. These guys are definitely favorites today, and they didn't start off bad, Reese. They definitely did not start off bad, but in those sort of, moving zones, things start to get a bit messy for them.
Yeah, they'd been putting their mark on Sweaty Sands throughout the qualifiers, and they've been going up against Bloomy, who was kind of spawned at the west-hand side for today, and they didn't often look to contest. But Bloomy actually managed to pick them up here in this game, but in the end game instead, and it looked so good for these guys. We saw, kind of mentioned off camera here, that 2 minutes before the first zone had closed, these guys had already rotated. They were way ahead of things. So the rotations early and mid for Storm Surge were on point. Just they kind of fumbled apart in the end game, unfortunately. But again, same with Flickanas and Thomas HD, actually. They looked like they were in a really good spot. Maybe not as high above Storm Surge as we'd normally like. But again, just kind of going down in that first moving. So hopefully these guys can kind of fix that up in the next coming games too.
Absolutely wild that your top 3 from last season, trios we have not seen all season, 2 of them are in your top 3 once again after just game 1. But don't forget, this is a long marathon, okay? We have 12 total games. This was just game number 1. And that was as hype as it can be. We're going to see hopefully 5 more games just today, just like that. Strap in, Fortnite fam. Make sure you've got popcorn. Grab some Chug Splash because we're going right back into the action. Sancho West Shire Wager. Let's go again.
Sancho, Zeke's talking about grabbing popcorn. I'm going to need you to grab me because I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to handle 5 more games today of this and 6 more tomorrow.
If we get another hot start, I don't know how much my voice can take because the action is just insane already from the get-go, and we're only in game 2.
Yeah, this is just absolutely crazy. We're talking about some of the highest elims we've seen in combined top 3. We're talking about that zone as well where people are just forced to make it or break it. A river saves the deal, and then we have to bring it all the way back to off-spawn fights. 2 teams, 6 players landing on one house, and they're running it back.
Oh my, this is what we saw. It's a pickaxe battle here for the Yellow House, and the bunker chest is not even here. All the investment is going to go down to whatever the scramble they could find. Floor loot as Mappy gets a knock on Wolfies, but we're seeing the strategy here from Retail Row, and it is ugly.
This is too much and all in, but like neither team has any chips. Kiko's looking for the top spot right now. Primal AR in hand. It's fun off spawn, fun close range, but he's nowhere near his teammates.
It's such a interesting fight. I'm thinking that they're betting that, you know what, we have 12 games to work with. We could afford to kind of doing these kind of intense, these kind of out of the box type of strategies, and now we're having to disengage. And wow, already we're seeing some huge waves happening in Retail Row.
Wolfies is one who went down. Future's going to be on the chase. Slender and Void just trying to survive. No builds, walking on fire. This man feels no pain. And Void's kind of driven all the way away. I think he just saw that heal animation too. They found Slender. You're talking about 12 games you can afford to have this type of change back and forth. There's teams who are not going to have, this roughness. These guys will be falling behind, going for the strategy every game.
And so far, it is Putrix Trio that has the upper advantage, already winning game 1. Now they have an opportunity to win game 2's engagement here on Retail Row. You have a Raptor out in the midst here, creating some more chaos to the recipe. Why not add a little spice to this engagement?
No, stop the spice, man. This is too much. Oh my God, Scare's feeling the heat. Slender in the same box too. There's the big shot down though. Okay, he's got a high tolerance, Sancho. You're fine. He can add whatever he wants to this fight. They're going to be winning this one through.
Oh my, the pepper challenge, essentially. The hot, spicy take is happening at Retail Row, and Kiko, Scram, and Putrick are looking really good. For those who don't know, Kiko and Slender are former teammates, former trios, representing Portugal, and they're just having some of these kind of crazy slugfest haymaker fights, and we'll see what Putrick could do again as Default, Wolfie, and Fremont, who had 15 limbs in game 1 here. Can they get another one? Ooh, they trade between Kenzel. Wow, this is going to be another battle here at Holly Hedges. I'm so surprised that iDrop Trio is actually here.
Lots of trades coming through on both sides, but who has the value? Wolfie pushing up top. iDrop, the Sixth Sense. Behind his head, this man has 4 eyes that all know exactly who's coming and where to shoot. My God, I don't even think he heard him. He just felt something coming up top, and Fremock's also being dropped down by Wakey. This time, it'll be iDrop's Trio rolling through. Kinzel wasn't even taken out in this instance. Not even Holly has these types of fights over and over. Sancho, it looks like they're both committing.
Just to give you a taste what was happening on social media, as soon as the lobby was set, all of a sudden you had Fremock said, these are Fremock hedges. And Kenzel, iDrop, Wakey, all right, you know what? We don't want any business with this. We're going to go ahead and change our drop. They thought about going to Camp Cod. Then they said, no, that's not a really great drop for themselves. So they went all the way up to the Orchard Split where Tripper's Trio is. And all of a sudden we were wondering where we're going to go. And they decided to contest Holly Hedges. And right now it's 1-1. Let's see what Kenzel, iDrop, and Wakey can do, as this is their first taste, essentially, of early game.
Yeah, for these guys, just to talk about their story, they're finally looking fear right in its face and saying they can do it. Last season,
yes,
they went for that passive spot. They landed Coral Castle overall, and they just had unfortunate circumstances with the zone and with Surge. This time, they're going for a better spot. Yes, they have a dangerous trio to fight, but man, they're looking good so far, and at least half their games. Let's see where that goes through. Talk about improvement season after season. This is just game after game. Icarus, Vortex, and Knight must have switched something up. Not everyone landed at the same spot. I think they might have tripled up on one house because it looks like Janus and Chapix have too much control of this POI.
And we saw fights kind of wrap up quickly, and now we're seeing stalemates, and this is not what you want to see if you're Craigie Cliff. So you're already seeing the team that's landing at Pristine Point already making their rotation, looking for their Storm Surge tags. So, hey, a fight could kind of break out between those two. That team on the Cliffs, they don't want really any business. They're just going to get their tags and move on.
Yeah.
But if they get tags on Chapix here, who is on the high point, that could open up an engagement between Vortex's here, and they can make their way up and they could take out Chapix. So still very dangerous for all those teams that are looking. That's Hottie, Elocrats, and Tripper. Yeah, there's the tags. There's the tags.
Okay, luckily enough, he still has 3 shields, so that shield break sound didn't come through. Hycris won't know exactly what went down, but watching him run away, I'm pretty sure they heard the first shot at least. So there it is. The 2 minis are there. They're looking good.
Give you another insight to what's happening. The battle down at Stealthy Stronghold is not going to Podesai's way. They are losing so far. That advantage is owed to Podesai going against Nebs.
So lots of switch ups. One thing is the same though. Lazy Lake fight. Kind of intense for the moment. I think Kaiser just got another knock on the ST. It's going back and forth. We look at our game 1 absolute dominators, getting a little bit of insight of how they work around the map. It's aggressive. Or ZR taking shots out the passenger seat, and they're landing. Fast Roki taking out Kaiser. So, man, I really want to look at Lazy Lake right now. The third party is coming through again. Kaiser down. It's a repeat from the first game. Might not be the same zone. Pizza claps back on a Hellfire. Okay. So that trio almost fully taken out. I believe it's just all left down to one member from Kaiser's trio. It'll be Flows to try to clutch it out. But yeah, for these guys, I mean, their last game was so excellent.
These fights, you're seeing the stat fly in 212 appearances accumulatively from all the players of final appearances here for the FNCS. So that's what we're talking about. A lot of teams have players that have that experience in the FNCS, and they're going to know how to deal with those nerves. I remember we're seeing that even Reason himself tweeted out, how do I deal with nerves? I get so nervous in these stressful situations. So even Reason, one of the world's best fighters, have nerves knocking at their doorstep.
Maybe those nerves even help them play even better, right? Overall. Mm-hmm. And you look at the outside influence, check out the inside influences inside the game that you can also help your entire trio do so much better, so much well as well when you're playing throughout. Hen, Janus, Chapix, kind of different from that first game. They were forced to be able to move quickly around the map. We saw them all the way towards the south side with the Nos, Thomas, and Flick. This time, because they didn't get to finish out the fight, they got a few tags, and now they can go and fish. They have a favorable zone as well. They have a lot of good loot to play out this end game, especially for heal game as well towards the very end. It'll be very, very different in terms of a total plan coming in from our champion trio.
They have to be careful from Nebs' trio. They are sitting on that North Guardian Tower. That is normally where they rotate to for Storm Surge tags. And you already saw a couple of bullets going their way. And this is the benefit of having Craigie Cliffs, because you have this secondary drop spot here, this landmark of Flopper Island, as the community likes to call. A lot of fishing spots for them to replenish them and get what they need for in game. And that is what happens when they disengage from High Crest. They're like, okay, look, at least we could kind of retreat back into Flopper Island, kind of replenish all of our heals, not necessarily their builds. They're gonna have to find some more builds along the way. But again, with Nebs' trio being a kind of a guardian on their tower, they're gonna have to watch out and make sure they don't dip into those valuable heals that they're finding here in these fishing spots.
You got first and third place right now on your screen. Second place Fremont from the last game, obviously eliminated off spawn inside Holly Hedges. Up to these guys to be head-to-head to see who can win. A very aggressive trio on the bottom right side, paired with the Consistency Kings, who like winning games too on the top right.
On the bottom right of your screen, you may be wondering why Noah Riley here is in Pleasant Park. This is where they go for their secondary POI to go visit Jonesy to get those upgrades. They go to Barney Burbs to do all they can to loot. Then they move up north to Pleasant Park to get those upgrades, because my question for them, Chayo, was how are they going to handle not having the power weapons that Barney Burbs really doesn't traditionally have? They said, we're going to find it in Pleasant Park. During the qualifiers and heats, I believe this trio was kind of exploring, like, we don't know, the strategy wasn't quite working. But because the zone pulled north, they decided to go into this play in their playbook. But if any zones go south, brother, that this play right here won't be that option, because when they try it, when zones pull south, they get in trouble because of their late rotations, they get tagged, and they can't have that freedom box fighting style that they've been doing beautifully here today.
It's not even the freedom box fighting, it's just a confidence. Yeah, Sancho, what would you do with a green AR and a purple pump if you had to choose an upgrade?
What would I upgrade? I would upgrade. You know what? I would upgrade the purple pump to gold.
Oh, come on. The normal guy will go for the AR, right? Like, you want to make sure both are even on both sides. Reason's just like, forget it. I'm going, just like you, for the gold pump. Like, absolute insane confidence. You saw it in that first game, True. He jumped up on Trulex as well. Like, insanity.
Well, listen here. I mean, great minds think alike. I may not have the mechanical skill, but, you know, at least I got a gold pump.
Mini Reason on our hands here on the broadcast, so we'll see exactly if his pumps land just like the calls. Absolutely magnificent right now. Rifle also in a situation with Savin and Crizzy. David's actually 1 HP. They've got the clutch res, or the clutch revive at least. Heal? It doesn't come through, unfortunately. Pressure on the walls. Rifle has a flank though onto Meta. Skyzoo, underdogs coming in this competition against reboot round winners. And both these type of backside storyline clutch trios are going to go head to head here at Colossal Crops. Rifle the short end of the stick, but to talk about Meta, Skyzoo, and Expert, I've been looking at all the tier lists, the predictions for teams. They're near the bottom, Sancho, in terms of like expectations coming in. They have the world to prove, to say that, yeah, we can hang out with the top as well. They're winning fights already. That first game is also looking, you know, it was a tough zone entirely, but they're making it off the spawn. They're looking entirely good as well. So they'll have a lot to prove over the 12 games you're going to be seeing over 2 days.
And that's really, you know, that's the whole thing. You don't really have to be in the top at the beginning of day one, at the end of day one, essentially. We saw in previous FNCS trios, we had Thomas HD on the top, didn't make that finals finish. We also saw Seti, Kemi, and Teak be number one after their day one. So you just want to be feeling good, and you want to be within striking distance of that top 5. And right now, we still saw Andretta's trio within the striking distance right now going into this match in the 7th here. Now, we have to definitely keep an eye on what the eyedrop Waking Kinzel do. When you survive your drop spot that you know you're going to be in it for the long haul, when you survive, you better get your points, because this may be one of those few chances that you can get as much points as possible, because if not, Fremont may be able to walk away and win that early drop spot there on Holly Hedges.
Yeah, I like that setup you have of like kind of, you know, emotions and being allowed to play a game versus just absolutely striking wildly and blindly like Reason are. And you're definitely right. For a trio rolling in, Kinzel, Wakey, and eyedrop, like, this is definitely one of those emotional type games where pressure is on the line. You'll have to put up a few points. They're free, basically. It was a very fast fight off spawn. They essentially have 3 free elims to work with. But what are they going to do with that against other trios who don't have those emotions, aren't as nervous? And Andretta, Refsguard, and Savage are in that non-nerves position, coming in from the top right side of the map, Steamy Stacks. I mean, this, first of all, is such a prestigious trio in terms of name. Refsguard and Andretta, you know, people who've played together in the past a lot. Savage going thrown into the mix, replacing Scram, I believe, from previous seasons.
Yes.
And they have one of the best POIs in terms of Europe historically, all to themselves.
You would think it would be just like an Amplify Matzo situation where they added Benji. It's the same thing. When you add Savage to that duo group, they do really well. Now we have a battle here between Jam's side here and Joku's trio. So far, one is straight out. Andon all by himself here. He's going to have to hold on. Actually, he does have Jetsku alongside here. It's going to be a matter of moments here as Dementos, he does pick him up. Nice. It's going to be a nice, valuable siphon right there. Health is going to be a little bit more replenished. This is still a storm fight. Luckily, no other trios are looking through.
Unfortunately, though, this is like dropping a glass on the floor and it shatters. You try to put it back together, you're still going to see the cracks. One teammate down, they're inside zone. There's no way to fully fix this game. It'll look like they're going to be able to play it out as a duo. They're going to be on the backside of circles 24/7. They're going to be having to medkit over and over again. And right now, we're talking about free flow. Reason down, but there's still more gold pumps to go around. A trade with Hen down below as well from Noah Riley. And yeah, Janice is absolutely wrapped up. Floki's in the mix too. This looks like a 3-party sideways situation. It's going off the rails. 2 solos left now, basically to clutch. No, but deals here with Noah Riley as well. He's getting crazy. Floki jumps up from the top side. Floki, Deceptos, Clement, these guys rolling in. They are the interrupting trio. Every time you feel safe in the mid game, you're taking a fight, they can roll in. We didn't see it in game 1, but look at it. They come through in game 2. They get a pick and they back off.
I believe that's Hen Trio is gone, out, buzzsaw by Noah Riley. They met it in-game in game 1, and now they meet in mid-game, and Noah Riley and Vidil stand up on top tall. Look at the number of eliminations that Noah Riley has for. You had Floki's trio kind of dipping their hand into the fight, understanding, okay, we got our tags. We will either win or we're going to end up being here fighting forever. Let's bail and get out. That was a 2v2 fight. Floki and Clement disengaged, understanding who they're dealing with.
And I had that little story about dropping a glass down. This is literally tipping over a cabinet to find China. The top 2 teams basically eradicated, eviscerated, and fragmented now off of that mid-game fight. I think the Symptos also went down on the third party. Man, there's 4 different teams now. Fast Roki's gone. Red Rush eliminated, who was right above Savage. Hen has been taken out like we just saw, and Fremont didn't make it off spawn. Usually, Sancho, we see the situation come through in like the 4th or 5th game, right? The top 5 going down and not making it through. But now it's happening in game 2. Europe is just flipping things on its head.
That's what I'm saying. Places from 2, 3, 4th, and 5th are all gone. And right now, our number 1 spot is still up. The only team that's in the top 10 is you have Kiko's trio, Resguard's trio, Stormy's trio, Bloomy's trio, and Neb's trio. That's it. We're seeing the changes in what's happening, the volatile action that's happening in those early drop spots, but now it's kind of leaking out to those rotations.
In that first game, it was Trulex, Jerky, and Queasy who had the best spot on top of a mountain. Basically, kings in their own right? And they were in their domain. First games where they operate. It was these top 5 trios that really made their life hard up there, especially Noah Riley, Reason, and Vidil. Although they're live in this game, the other 4 top teams in EU are down. It could be up to these guys to roll in and claim that 1 VR they usually have each season in the finals. They want to get past that too, don't get me wrong, but in this game, a lot of the guys who will interrupt them, a lot of the trios that give them a hard time, you'll see it. From 2nd to 5th, they're out right now. It's just the duo of, I believe, Vidil and Noah Riley, who are alive right now at 54 points in first place. Everyone else is eliminated in the top 5. 6th to 10th, though, as Sancho mentioned, absolutely still alive. This will be the switch-up game for the top 10.
We just saw Jules' trio haven't been any of the round 4s in the qualifiers. Did really well in the semifinals, coming into 3rd place. Jules was popping off in that where it mattered the most. They stopped Seti from qualifying and they stopped Bato from qualifying. And right now they're looking really healthy in their zone. The question can be, can Noah Riley and Vidil do this as a duo? They have the focus from already teams that are sitting up high, looking really good. Now they're dipping into their soft mats to kind of conserve as many hard mats as possible. If there's any kind of duo, Shio, this duo right here could still be lethal at in-game.
Yeah, but think about it, man. Look at the stat on screen. Reason is the leader in terms of elims. This guy has that star power. We saw him upgrade a gold pump or a purple pump into gold, right? Like, it's tough when you have your top man not alive, and then you talk about playing as a duo, right? These guys have a 1/3 less of the loot, a 1/3 less of the mats. Look at Noah Riley's mat count right now. He's in trouble.
All right, we'll see. I mean, we've seen like in the NBA, when you have the big 3, still the other 2 are just as dangerous. So Noah Riley and Vidil can be able to cause some noise here, but you nailed it right there. They just have a lot of eyes on them. Focus in, sending down the beams. Now we have Slick's trio at height right above them, and now we still have 4ZR and Nate. Just give you an idea who's still in this fight. Irez and Safik are now in a scrum and a battle between it, and look at that. Safik goes down, gets a knock from Noah Riley. Now it's up for Noah Riley. Can he hold on as a solo? He's going through. Oh, any kind of valuable elimination would have been key. That would have been 2 points. And Irez and Siberia lose their teammate in Safik in that scrum. Sometimes the big 3 sometimes gets denied and gets blocked, and they did right there.
Sometimes you get reverse sweeped. Unfortunately for the top 5 inside EU, they will not be seeing game number 2 the whole way through. Stompy, Shadow, and Joe, I don't even ever see these guys in trouble, at least at this point in the game, maybe after max zone hits, but man, even for Shakeoff's DKS, these guys are going to be rolling in, max zone, the whole lobby can see you, just like we saw Noah Riley and Vidil go down. They might succumb to the same fate. Stompy's going to try to roll in by himself. Meanwhile, on greener pastures, think about the zone. Let's talk about the zone for a sec as well. Where Savage, Revsguard, and Dredda are. It's complete low ground. A field that has no crops, no trees, because everyone's making sure to be efficient and farm them. I mean, it's open season for anyone to be able to just create bases and control the flow of the game.
Savage is just looking around to see if anyone's late rotating through so he could get some easy tags on there, but they have so much real estate on the down low and up high. We got to take a look at who was at height there for a moment, Shio. Who was standing high?
That was Queasy, Trulex, and Jerky. Round
no
two
surprise.
for him.
Round two.
I'm wondering if I even have to ask anymore for the rest of the finals.
way,
They're always
yeah.
somehow there, no matter the zone. Last time it was mountains, and you know, this time it's all the way towards the mid-map fields, and Dredda gets a big shot on the Stompy. He gets one of those stragglers rolling in, but 38 people to roll in here. Queasy all the way on height. Will they get usurped again?
Let's go ahead and focus in here on the low ground in the mud that you see Nate, Orziar, and Tayson. We all know that Savage is there on the low ground as well. Trulix is on high. That is the stakes right here. Thomas HD and that trio is sitting second from height. So they are still fully strong as a trio, looking really good in the map department as well. They're going to be able to survive a lot of rotations. Right now, they pull. Look at that. They already have it already set up. That's how great this trio is, especially a Nos as a tarper who's to be able to get them in the perfect position.
Every trio right now, you can hear it. No shots. Those are the first 5 that just rattled out. Everyone's thinking about where to go and slowly creeping forward before this zone starts to move. It's finally active. I think I see a high ground retake coming in as well. This is very good for mid-ground trios for the moment. Like Click, Anas, Thomas HD. Roasting towards the right. Make sure to have a lot of room. Don't want anyone invading your tarp. Trulex overbuilds, though, to make sure that retake does not come through. Jerky all the way on the back side. They're going to be in the middle portion of zone and are looking really good. Everyone, though, is on the same layers looking to go for the first central position to be able to retake height.
Right now, I would say Indreda right now is looking really good. He's in front of the zone, right? But doesn't have the elevation that Tayson's trio does have. They have 757 looking really good about Storm Surge. But take a look. This little valley mountain right here is going to give Queasy's trio some prime opportunity to get some easy elims. But now Nas and Thomas AC are going to have to do this as a duo, and they're 227 below, and 7 people have to go down. So right now, more than ever, they're going to be very aggressive, looking for just a chance to be able to get some tags here and survive.
Looks like they lost a foot in the race. 228 damage below Surge as well, and it feels like everyone's running track too. So
it's going
one
north.
Shoot down. They go into a box.
Nice.
Big trade. Thomas HD 1 HP, but he makes it through. Beams from up top, and now it's all up to Anas. Down on Surge. 25 damage will be raining through, but he's trying to get all the way through all these builds. Moves forward. Only just metal builds so far that he's working with, but he has so many mats because he got through all those eliminated bodies. It'll be a solo clutch for Anas. We've seen it before happen. Can it be possible again? Toos is getting big elims to the feed. Jerky operating off height too. He's picking up Shaykaz and many trios back to back and left and right. Anas above. Sana and Jules, a very dangerous mid-ground trio. It's like going above sharks inside water. You can't dip your feet in. Gotta make sure you're building really well. Trulix and Queasy though, Sancho, all the way on height. They're glorious in position, but I only see the duo. I'm not sure where the entire trio is. Still, they have the position on height.
Another big shark in the fight is on the low ground, is Indreda's trio. They have an opportunity to go ahead and take this away, considering that Trulix and Queasy are now a duo. It's going to be a little bit harder to hold. It does go back just a hair, avoiding that valley, so that's going to be a strong opportunity for the low ground to overtake height soon.
With no mountains and no sea, it's just all about builds, builds, and builds. And it looks like high ground might be running out of them for now. It's only just 2 people operating as well. Yes, just 14 in Trulex's inventory. 9 trios still alive, 19 players to go through. Trulex has to be very careful on how many mats he uses. Down to 3, 2, 1, and almost 0. Needs a refresh here. Has the harpoon. He can grab back. Scram DKS and Ref's guard. All get eliminations. Expert about to go down in the feed. Trulex is trying to get some desperate shots as well, but he's down on low ground now, and height has run out of mats.
Yeah, now height is free for anyone, and now finally Anas gets picked up. But Savage, Repsguard, and Dredda, look at the number of eliminations that they have. 9 elims and looking strong and healthy, and so much space control. Everything is going to be easy from them. All they have to do is keep their head on the swivel and watch as the zone is going to slowly creep forward here. But this is going to be Savage, Repsguard, and Dredda's day right here, right now, to net a victory royale.
In a battle of builds, it's low ground who are the carpenters. They get all the shipments of mats over and over again from height. Stormy right also could be a body rolling in into the next package, but it's not going to be the situation right now. Savage taking on Anas. They're taking out 9. You're correct, Sancho, as they're moving through. Scram was popping off and takes out Stormy.
Look at the half wall edits that you're seeing. They're trying to set up anybody that's in shambles. They're looking up top to trip anybody, and Kiriachi almost trips down to their level. But we cannot forget of Ziku's trio, Sun and Jules. They've been very dominant in their heat, and they are getting hot at the right time here, and it's going to happen in the FNCS finals. If they can put it all together and get a victory royale, that's going to be a big statement for new blood to take out the old guard.
Down to 4 teams, and Dreda picks up another. What a clutch run. He's picking up every solo player. Kiriachi down. 3 different teams left. Savage is a full trio right now with Rescard and Dreda. They're on low. They have very healthy builds too. I think we know that Queasy is all the way on height and takes out Zeku. Both other teams engage Queasy with a 2 pickup. Queasy almost with 3, and Dreda going down. Queasy picks up the full elim on Zeku. Savage gets the off-fuel down as well. Queasy looking on the backside. Savage is there. Solo. 1v1 situation. Queasy finds him beaming through the box. Can't find the shot, and it's down to the final tick with position and just great gameplay the whole way through. Savage picks that one up.
11 elims end the victory route. It's normally cabbages in Savage's inventory, but we were talking about corn. You want some corn? Savage got the corn and netted the victory route for his trio.
Absolutely. And what a calm, different approach to the end game inside Europe this time. The top team's down, no valleys or mountains in the way. It was just low ground. And when it's low ground, you can't forget about Savage.
Oh, no, you cannot forget about the trio. They were so dominant, but you cannot forget about all that action that unfolded once again in early game. We're going to need the boys to break that on down. Let's kick it to the desk.
Man, I love finals. So many little interactions that happened in this last game. Sancho, your prediction, maybe you said game 12. Did you mean game 2? There's a 2 in 12. Maybe it's both. I mean, Levin, this was absolutely incredible. Not only did Savage's trio pick up the victory route, story right, this was something that we talked about in behind the scenes. You were like, that's my duo. He makes top 5 by himself.
Honestly, he had such a great game, and it's funny that you mentioned that, because I was thinking almost the same thing, right? I was thinking, Sancho, is this happening now? Like, what's going on here? Savage about to have that solo clutch. Look, he wins the game for them. It's great to see that, because, you know, Savage is like the most experienced player on that team. He plays for the heel off, and he's able to survive just long enough. Queasy, Trulex, and Jerky, they're going to be in pain after that one, because they actually did so well there, and you think they're going to win it out. But Savage's trio, we talked about them in the pre-show, the Steamy Stacks team uncontested. This is the day for them to really come out and show to people that, look, we are one of the top teams. We're up there with the Hen, Janice, and Chapixes of the world.
Yeah, it's good you say uncontested there going against Stevie Stacks, because if anyone remembers last season, you know, Rescard and Andrea, who at the time were playing not with Savage, they're playing with Scram instead, you know, they were looking good coming into the qualifiers and through the heats, and then it just comes straight to the finals, and there's 3 teams there. Steamy Stack, anytime a team just doesn't do well, they go and land there as well. It just became a mess. It's really unfortunate for this team, but it's just the nature of the game sometimes. But this season, they have it uncontested. They've clearly shown how good they are in that drop spot, and right now, from a game like that, it shows why you don't want to contest a team like this.
And, you know, when we're kind of looking at this mid game, some of these trios, man, they're still struggling with that Storm Surge. I'm looking at 4ZR, Nate, and Tayson, you know, kind of talking us through those mid game engagements. What are you seeing here right now, Reese? Because this doesn't look great.
Well, it doesn't look great for a lot of teams, but it does look good for a team that we mentioned earlier. Obviously, we looked good for Tayson, Nate, and 4ZR. Notice we're positioning right now, going on to specific high zone in risky reel, right? They're building up very, very early. And look where they are, right? If we're going to point out from where they are, they're currently in that center, very close to of this zone right here. Remember where they dropped? They dropped Sweaty Sands. So this is a relatively fast rotate, because right now, very similar to what I mentioned about game 1, this has been 2 minutes before the first zone has even closed. So we are really, really early for them to have already positioned themselves really high on this kind of position to get Storm Surge, right? So they're in an angle where they can see all of these teams. You can see way down below, these teams down here, over here, over here. They have this vertical positioning on them where you can actually see every single position, right? And you can see again, now when Storm Surge pops up, and you can see on the right-hand side, there's a warning for Storm Surge over here to see. Because of their great positioning, this is then moved to another high ground spot once the next zone had moved. 371 above the Storm Surge threshold. So being able to rotate early using the cars 2 minutes before, and now getting onto these super, super high ground positions really early has benefited them so much in getting above the Storm Surge. This is what a ton of our top teams are doing right now. Now, unfortunately, They made a couple mistakes in their 5th and 6th zones and were picked up and didn't manage to make the most of this game. But that early game setup is so good.
And look, our winners from Game 2 sitting up there in first place. Dretter, Mrs. Savage, and Refsguard. Refsguard repping Falcon for the first time in a competition. And what a way to rep your new team. They're sitting in first. But it's only Game 2. There are so many more games left today. You can see there, though, that victory put them up 82 points. Provides a bit of separation, not the most at this stage, but you can see there below Norriley, Vidil, and Reason sitting in second like you'd expect. And Kiri actually stood right in 2, so we haven't necessarily spoken much about yet today, but it's definitely a top contender in this competition sitting there in 3rd.
Yeah, it's really difficult to talk about all the top teams. Let's be real, because all these teams are top teams. All these teams have popped off at some point and made it here. They've had super consistent placements, being 4th and 5th in these 2 games so far, and not huge amount of eliminations. Very similar to what we've seen previously in 4th. Very similar to what we've seen previously in their kind of qualifiers. But usually you'd say this team's been super aggressive. So they're playing a little bit consistently like they did in this FNCS through the qualifiers, and it's really paying off so far.
So many of these trios just looking to make those adjustments, right? This is finals. This is a different platform, friends, and you have to make these adjustments if you want to win. But it is time. It's game number 3. Sancho with Shy Wager. Back over to you.
Hey, Zeke, we got to make some adjustments as well ourselves. The hype levels got contained, right? That was a very cerebral game in number 2. Sancho in 3 now. Everything's going to be thrown at the wall. All the teams were basically in prison last game, unable to play, are going to be eager to get back on the field.
My eye is going to happen, and how are they going to make the adjustments? And right now, we haven't really talked about, Reese kind of nailed it. There's a lot of top teams in the region, and one of the top teams is not having that start of the day that they were looking for, and that's Andalex's trio. We just saw that Zenith got a knock on Andalex. The character Zenith is auto-aggressive when the very onset, and Alexis trio is one of those teams that have been very decorated. They came in literally 4th place last season, and we all were like, okay, this is one of the top teams early on in the season. As the season progressed, we saw a lot of holes in their games. They saw a lot of different trios contesting them at Caddy Corner. They dropped down to Weather Station. Now they're in Camp Cod, and you have yet to have a great start here in the FNCS.
It's all from just getting contested, right? That's kind of been the trial for them, very similar to kind of, Forza R story of, are these guys going to be able to redeem themselves? It feels like Forza R has totally, but still we're waiting for them to pop up, inside the top 5. Brandon Lex, yeah, it is very difficult. It's looking like, a completely different type of story rolling in. Was that just Red Squad, by the way, rolling through in a contested type of spot, or what was going on there?
I mean, we'll see. I mean, what I do know is that the peacocking has definitely stopped. The ego challenges of dropping the bunker, realizing, hey, we don't want to ruin our entire run now. Let's go ahead and take a moment. Let's kind of split this POI to our, keep it chill.
Yeah, and Fremont, I don't think, is on that wavelength. There's a little bit of that old vibe still rolling in of making sure you're alphaing up. They go down again, and in Lazy Lake, Kaiser fighting. Sancho, think about the timing. The Holly Hedge fighting is going on as fast as Lazy Lake. There's no holds barred. Usually that Lazy Lake fight goes on for so long. Kaiser already down. And once again, Scram, Butrick, Hiko rolling through Retail Row. You said it was a little bit less, completely griefy back and forth. They're still going to be right at their boxes, right on the edge, foaming at the teeth. Wolfie's not happy of going down first in that last game. Already taking out Kiko. It'll be a 2v3 situation for Putrick's team.
Can Wolfies be able to turn their tide? Already 0-2 in Retail Row. He's going to go with the way of the shotty. Gets a knock on Scram here, but it hurt a lot. And Slender as well, down to the sliver of HP. This is what this tournament start has been completely for Slender and Wolfies, who are a newly formed trio going up against old names, familiar faces.
What does this reversal mean for the finals? It's actually really bad for both teams. That Wolfies, yes, ends up winning out here with Void and Slender. This gives them even more confidence now to keep coming back to this spot. Scram is not going to be safe in the next game number 4 either. This fight will keep happening. Who knows now, even all the way through for the 12 games. Bad Sniper as well. I mean, this fight's gone both ways and has been third party 2 times. When there's 2 teams winning back and forth, it doesn't give a team complete confidence to cut losses, right? And go a complete different way. You have both teams rolling in, feeling smart, feeling lucky, and they're going to keep fighting over and over. It's not good for anyone.
Yeah, at the same time, this is what it talked about. As you've seen, Hellfire really down to about 35 HP, but he claps back to Marvin. Now Marvin gets knocked really close. There it is, confirmed. Now it's up to Bad Sniper and Hellfire. We've been seeing some clutches, mini clutches that have been happening here in Lazy Lake. We saw Marvin with the backup, and now we see Bad Sniper versus Hellfire. Now it all comes down to reboot cards. And what I was going to say is, hey, even though they're fighting, Shayo, they still have a shot to do some damage. We already saw Hellfire do double digits elims when they survive out that fight. So your path is not going to be as carefree as we saw Savage when we took a peek at their POV, or is just very chilly vibes down in Steamy Stacks.
Yeah. This might be one of those decider fights as well. We've seen Janus, similar to Hellfire with Hen and Chapix, do amazing damage when they make it off spawn, and they have in both games. I would say at a big advantage as well, because I don't even see Icris near the top part of this list right now that I'm looking for, at least
31st
inside top 10. 31st. Yeah, so you can see which way this fight is kind of delving down to. I don't even have to mention it completely. I think this might be, if Janus, Hen and Chapix win, Icris to move away. That makeshift shotgun hitting like a charge, and we know that's not in the game, but my goodness, the damage. Bye-bye, Icris. Ramp block on Knight. Janus has nothing but the big shot in front of him, and oh my goodness. There's no way these guys come back to this POI, right?
No.
Absolutely blended, tossed in a washing machine, and not even dried out. The disrespect from this team going head-to-head with Icris down on low and saying, hey, we don't care where it is. We're staying at Craggy, and we're winning 3 games in a row.
It looks like Hen's trio has, we saw our talk about Split Splash. They put that trio, gave him a bath, gave him their binky, and put him to bed. That's it. That's it. That's how intense it can be at Craggy Cliffs. And that's the kind of game 3, literally 3 games in a row, walking away at Craggy Cliffs.
Bad Sniper probably has the same thoughts as Icris right now in terms of like, what are my chances of being really top placing in this tournament actually going to be? Like, they're also contesting, also not having the best time. It's not a confident spot where all 3 teammates are surviving. They're barely scraping by at the skin of their teeth. And okay, Bad Sniper somehow reverse this to get all the way up top. Now Hellfire's down below, a little bit low on mats. It seems like 2, or else he'd go for the retake. I mean, what?
This is what it comes down to when you have like not strong weapons, and you have to kind of be economical with all your edits, and the economics is going to be kicked out the door, Shayo, because Pizza Ardent are here, and they easily take out Bad Sniper, who did not have enough builds to defend himself on the high ground, and Hellfire is about to be eliminated shortly. Pizza Ardent here. We have to wonder, where is Fast Roki? It looks like it's going to be a duo battle versus Hellfire.
Fast Roki not going to be able to make it into the game for now. We'll see Pizza and Ardent rolling it through. Still such a strong duo. And you can already see it. They're making something of this game. Going to be rolling out with at least 4 points here, taking out 2 people from different trios.
And this is a trio coming from Misty Meadows, disengaging, making their way through. This is what they normally do. They understand that Lazy Lake is always an easy bed for third parties, easy opportunity for Storm Surge tags. But let me go back to it quickly with Chris. What would you do? I mean, there are a lot of drop spots that are available, a lot of different splits that are available to go to. But when you've been Chris's trio, who's been landing there throughout the majority of the season of Craggy Cliffs, to be able to learn on the fly, that's the great part of this format, Shayo. You have 2 days. You can make some adjustments. You could do your homework. You could see who's available, who maybe you could better at their drop spot to take over. Definitely, there's going to be ramifications. We saw it last season when Ingram decided to leave Dirty Ducks, went down to the West Coast, became food for Fadil's trio. Ingram went back to Dirty Ducks and still wasn't good for them. So, Chris, we believe you can make the adjustments. Right now, those adjustments are not leading your path or destiny to Craggy Cliffs.
They're asking me what to do. I feel like he's just going to go again.
You think so?
Might be one. Yeah, might be. I know that, historically, you're looking at EU, especially contesting off spawn. It's always the first 3 games where that last game you try the most different thing. Right there, Chris, I believe, tried to engage and flank. We didn't really see that before. They were always on the defense. So game 4 should be a switch up, but who knows?
We'll see.
I was talking about this with Levin and Reese as well. I think with you two, Sancho, in the back, it was like, where do people go on this map if they have trouble off spawn? There's no open spots entirely across the board, right? Like maybe somewhere near Shark and the Lighthouse, but that's a down bad POI in itself. It's hard to get Surge over there. So there definitely will have to be a switch up. Maybe they can test something else entirely. It's just great to see that, a trio we haven't seen play all season Janice, Chapix, and Hen. So many questions. Does making, not playing an entire season make you washed? Or are these guys going to be good at all? Like, guys, they won an FNCS, and this is their home, right? Like, they're still going to be top tier.
All the other reasons we'll definitely have to keep an eye out to contest those auto qualifier teams. But now, Hen, Janice, and Chapix here being held out by a new trio making their way into the finals as Bubak, Nebs, and Waze, who had a great qualifier, they were able to get in that top 3, look really solid. A lot of their work is done on the north side of the map, and this is what they do in their playbook for Storm Surge. They understand that that team that's going to be at Craggy Cliffs usually takes about 9 minutes to kind of loot up their part. If they are being contested, they'll be a little bit more late. So some good tags from Nebs and Waze and Bubak. Now they're going to make their way on their rotation, being satisfied.
To me, every time I think about this trio and how they play, I feel like they have like a white noise playing in their ears at full blast as they go through. What I'm trying to say is that they love thriving in the chaos. No matter what's going on around them, they can full focus. Even if there was white noise playing in their ears, they're used to that and they prefer it. Having so many teams around them, they get surged while that's happening. They end up playing really well against top tier teams as well. It's just about making it off spawn, which I feel like is their issues. They're fighting at Stealthy Stronghold right now. Not sure if they made an adjustment in this game specifically. But when you have them, on their game plan, on point 24/7, they look really good. You talk about game plans as well. The Noof, Slicks, and Mariah had to have one of the best ones. They're in the car on your screen right now. Reboot round winners in the second game of Europe. They had that last chance qualifying clutch. I believe it was Mariah versus Cammy all the way down on low ground, and Mariah had the timing and hit the shots. I'm wondering now coming into today, are they still on that attitude of winning games, or are they looking to play, 6 games totally and just have a consistent placement throughout the tournament?
We saw in a little bit in the POVs where we're kind of at the carousel, we saw Hottie's right here, Hottie, Tripper. They had a great run when we saw in the semifinals. They dueled Tayson's trio, going back and forth, finishing top 2 in those 3 games. It was phenomenal. It was exciting to see. Hottie, Triple, and Elocrats were one of those teams that we had an eye on to be a dark horse in today's tournament.
Yeah, the thing about that too, like why aren't they, popping off right now? That heat and specifically, and just heats in general, don't include the biggest names in the world, right?
Yep.
They're not as difficult. But it shows you that if you give these guys room, if enough people like the top 5 go down, Hottie, Trippin, and Elocrats can do damage on the map. Just to wait for that moment.
Yeah, and watch out for Hottie's trio because they popped off in the last set of games here. So they still have that potential in that week 1 of qualifiers. They had to deal with Revsguard's trio. They had to deal with, I forget who came from Craggy Cliffs, but they still were able to survive those rotations considering they're back on their Orchard split. But now we're back in to see how the big dogs are doing the deal. Noah Riley and Reason, who fell early in mid-game in the previous match, were unable to defend the number 1 spot. Now in another box fight with Nebs, Waze, and Bubak.
Yeah, this is going to be trouble, I feel like. A little bit more so for Noah Riley, Vidil, and Reason. Expect them to win this fight because they're committing to it, but it won't be as easy unless they find a pinch. And Waze got distracted. Huge shots. Oh, no. This is what I was talking about. It's like fighting a barbed wire fence. This is so difficult. We see Vidil already going down. Now it's a duel situation. Might have got big shots onto Waze down there, but it comes at a huge cost to one of the members. And once again, Sancho, we saw it last game, playing as a duo, it's not as easy as it looks. You go down to focus.
They're going to try another crack at it. Now, this is the second game back-to-back as they are as a duo. They had to take that fight because Storm Surge was at their door, and the trade cost them their teammates. And you're just seeing the awareness of a duo like this. Like, they're taking shots while they're box fighting a team that's underneath them. They're picking bow shots. They're doing AR shots and getting those valuable tags so they don't have to overly commit against a trio. See, that's the kind of professional quality play that we're seeing between Reason and Noah Riley.
They lost a third of their loot, though, with one teammate down. I feel like they have to commit to this fight. Moving away from here, there's no chance to get really, really far into the game. So they're going to try to, but down below Sancho, it's brick and metal. It's going to be hard to pickaxe through. It's going to be hard to force your way into those fights. So we'll see how that goes. It's going to be a same game for them for the last one they played. A very different situation. Andalex, Naziak Squeeze on the board, in the field. Loadout looking good. Damage throwing back and forth. It's not enough. Just 24 above right now on the right side of your screen. Look at the mini map, though. There's so many players here that can easily land shots.
And this is the kind of consequence, as Analyx pays a little bit for having that open edit. This is the consequence of landing at Camp COD. you just don't have a really strong Storm Surge plan. A lot of the caddy corner, the teams that are in Lazy Lake, they already rotate out. Misty Meadows definitely rotates out early. So Andalix tweeted out that the reason why they're moving down the Camp Cod is they just want to be able to place. They want to be able to do well. But sometimes when you play passive, when you play safe, when you lay it up, you don't go for that hole-in-one shot. It may cost you for that opportunity for gold.
You're playing with a different driver too on the course, right? They were so used to having peppers in their repertoire and inventory, able to speed past so many different
so much
trios.
has changed for them. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they're playing a completely different Fortnite, and they're looking shaky while doing it so far. Sun Jules and Zaiku. I mean, watching these guys out of their heat, I believe they looked really good mid-game overall. Right now, what is going on? Like, this is the worst state I've seen health bars in a long time. Having to eat peppers just to make sure, you know, you have as much HP as possible. This is dangerous territory.
The Storm cannot touch you here, and Ziku takes big hit right in the grill as he's making their rotation. This is a team that we've been having their eyes on. They've been kind of heating up, getting better as each stage went on. Never made round 4, and they got better. Now they're just kind of running into the echelons, the cream of the crop of the EU region, and showing you how difficult it is to be consistent.
Yeah, they have that same story of, you know, Sun and Jules. Really good when the lobby's light. First time, though, Sancho's right, facing a lobby that is this difficult, has some premier names. This is going to be a very big wake-up call, but with 12 games to play, I mean, this was a trio that adapted very well to different circumstances. I feel like they'll be able to have something big, maybe even convert this game into points. 24 trios up right now. They have to wait till they're 17 to get 4 more placements, so see if it's possible.
It's like a switch. When you're duos, you're a solo. It's okay. Now it's time just to play for placement. Let me be safe. Let me make sure I'm on my feet as long as possible, because there's 2 placement thresholds. When we get into the top 25 and when we get into the top 17, and of course there's a bigger threshold when we get into those top 3. So once they get to the top 17, that's going to be big placement points for them. So all it's about survival sometimes when you're a duo. But hey, Noah Riley, Vidil, and Reason, they were able to get back the trio, mate. They didn't want to ride this out as a duo. Now they're trio.
Still, with one less inventory entirely to work with, yeah, this is trouble once again. They're going to be basically parasites build to build. They were on the left one there with Nebs, Waze, and Bubak, and now they're on this other build entirely up top on high ground, making sure it's so difficult for any movement to be had, for the body to work correctly below them. Noah Riley beaming down. Vidil does not have a big loadout currently, and this trio should be low on ammo, splitting it with a fresh body as well. So they need this fight. They need these builds, and they drop down and get it. Big pump from Noah Riley as well. They're fighting DKS and Shakos. It's going to be difficult here.
Let me talk about this vendetta that they've been having. They took out Chapek's trio again. We saw last season it was a $100,000 box fight, but now Noah Riley gets taken down by DKS's trio. Shay and Gray Coast, they're not one of those teams that you want to mess with. Gray and Shay Coast, they are still very deadly, but Reason now is going to be on the defense and hold down. Wow, what a big scrum that happened, but I just really feel that Hen's trio has a bullseye on their back, and Noah Riley, they're just going at it, man. This is so many engagements happening today. And DKS
talking about defense.
Down.
These guys don't know the definition of the word. DKS was down. They traded reses, but when Reason was supposed to play defense, he was looking for edits, ready to attack. But Deal does the same thing. Noah Riley now literally down to a sliver of HP, a combined total of, 21 HP here. Up against the full trio, he's not going to be able to have too much. Takes down DKS again, actually. But he's on trial with the zone. Doesn't get the finish. Doesn't have the siphon. He can't go past that blue line.
Oh, man.
Unfortunately, goes down, taken out. They won't get the Elam credit, but they will affect, 3 trios in this Game 3 lobby.
And who's going to be able to benefit from all that? It is Andretti's trio. It is Nebs. Look at that. They've been looking into this fight the entire time. Savage pestering that engagement, sending in the stink bow shots. And now Gray is just now gets confirmed and taken out by Nebs. Wow. There's too many Titans are going toe-to-toe in the mid-game, as my boy Monster would say.
Unfortunately as well, it was like, it's kind of ironic. Nebs was the one that got attacked first. Their trio gets to eat the biggest pie at the end of the day. And now as you look in a mid game, you're looking at a very similar zone from last game. No valleys, no mountains in between. And when we were there, it was all about builds. Map management, position, making sure you're picking the right layers. There's not going to be anything to save you in terms of, higher elevation or low ground having an easier time. This will be a very skillful game of Fortnite.
Right now, the trio that you're seeing has to make a short rotation. They're looking really solid. He has Blaster trios already moving out. It is the South trios that have to be concerned as we're taking an overview look. A nice drone shot. You see Druid, Squeezy, and Jerky right there on the distance, but they have already decided that Waze, Nebs, and Bubak, however, they're going to go up to the height right now as Zone did pull their way.
It's the young and the old, the brave and the bold right now with Bloom, Percival, and Tomsy all the way up on one of the high ground spots. They're looking for a little bit of control of this end game or the precursor to it. At the same time, Waze, yeah, they have graduated from the low ground spots, Sancho. It's going to be a head-to-head matchup to see who can have height.
And shout out to that Bloomies trio. We all thought that they were going to have issues coming from that West Coast rotation, going through that deadly triangle of Sweaty Sands, Fremont Hedges, and as well Bony Birds. But they're still here in today's tournament. They're coming in 8th place into this fight, so they're doing some things right.
Doing things right, drop down low though, and it feels like everything went wrong. Two of the teammates now down out of shield. On the backside, two Dementos. I mean, Floki Command, they were rolling in together. Or no, not Floki Command, my apologies. But Dementos is rolling in as well. Looking really good on third parties right now as a solo. And be just absolutely down bad, taken up by Exterios. Or next to Exterios on the backside. On the opposite side, it's Joe, Stompy, and Shadow, it looks like, who have a very good spot. Wherever the zone bounces, and we'll have a very different game.
Joe's trio is one of those ones as well that go for height. They're one of those teams that are all very aggressive, and they could definitely win a victory royale here in this set lobby. Ooh, zone pull so far north, though, for zone 6. Hey, no one's going to be able to have the advantage. It's all about who can race to the front of the storm line. And iDrop, Waking, Kenzel, armed with peppers, are going to make their rotation. If they could get clean rotations, no tags, not use a lot of builds, I think there's going to have a strong opportunity to walk away with at least a top 5 finish.
My goodness, I dropped these builds.
Great,
absolutely insane, going all the way
rotation.
in. What a tarp.
Clean.
And his teammates were right behind him the whole time. The focus was there. No one going for elims on the backside. Kenzo and Wakey hand in hand rolling through, and they're going to be going right past so many different people. They have advantage, but at what cost? 112 below, now 117 above. It's going to be fine for them in terms of surge on the right side. 10 people need to go down. Will one of those 3 be the height team who are controlling things? Joe, Shadow, all the way up top. They're going to be looking good. They had that height spot, contested for it, applied for the house, and got approved. And now it'll be Waze, Nebs, and Bubak against iDrop, Savage, so many others down below looking to control low. Gonna be very scary, difficult. Wakey already down a lot of shield. No one's gone down yet in the feed. Everyone's holding very true to themselves for the moment. Waze still moving forward. Blaster's the first one to get down Ref's guard. So Savage's trio is affected. Waze is building crazy though, and looks back and takes a big shot onto Andretta. Absolutely insane. High ground though. It's raining bullets left, right, and center. Blaster gets clapped back the entire screen. The zone right now moving right to left like a side scroller, but no one's paying attention to how the level's supposed to be played. They're going right, left, up, down, back, forth. No one really going towards the center, the very front portion of zone. This is going to be very, very dangerous for anyone on low grounds.
Stompy's teams right there has to be happy that zone pulled back. They expended so much by building over the height. So now that zone's going to go ahead and pull back, they could kind of hold on to it a little bit longer. Look at Stompy's mat count down to 11, but he also has Fireflies. So any of those wood builds that go out, expect a Firefly toss down there to set those builds as blaze. Right now, Andretta getting Waze, Andretta getting Bubak as well. Andretta lighting up with feed, Wakey lighting up the feed as well. So many of the low ground teams are looking strong, but look at Forziar, Tasted, and Nate. They are on the front side, so they're going to be going for an opportunity to win a victory royale and go up against Shadow's trio at height.
They're going to try to stop. He finally ends up connecting the entire build. It's a siphon all the way through too, but cannot find the mats. They have a big base to work with though, all the way on height. iDrop getting more eliminations down below. Stompy finds another for someone inside the feed. It's Flick being taken down to the storm. Can he get that full elim is the question. Yes, he does. And these guys are raking in the elims. 5 so far on high ground. Low ground's popping though. Wakey getting another. Tayson active in the feed, taking down Thomas. Wakey gets Kuriachi as well all the way down below. Wakey on the zone side is up against a duo. Siberia and iDrop from different teams. He's trying to survive here. 5 elims, 9, almost 10, 11 for the team, 16 HP. But now his world gets set ablaze. Fire all the way around, and he has no builds, no time to pop these shields either. He has to move in completely raw with no mats, just the shots he has available, and no shotgun it looks like for the moment either. Joe's dropped down from height. He's looking for shots. Tayson, trouble in his box. Wakey still surviving. They find iDrop, but there's so many solos left.
Tayson and Nate are the only solo standing in the way of Joe, Shadow, and Stompy here from getting the victory royale. 5 eliminations here, but there's some big valuable placement points right now. All on the line as you see Tayson and Nate retreating back to the backside here. It's a 3v2 on that side of things, but there's definitely is one person hiding around, and there's that one person. Wakey gets shut down by Stompy for a brief scary moment. Stompy survives that show up right on the backside here. Now it's a 2-team battle right now. 3v2. Tayson goes down, and now it's a 3v1. It's a matter of moments for Stompy, Joe, and Shadow to close out with a very aggressive height take and hold and a victory royale.
It took down the star at the beginning of that. Tayson knocked below. The classic duo of 4ZR Nate did not hold the pressure down all the way from height. Sancho, they almost ran out of builds, but they had enough to win the game.
They had enough to win the game because Storm pulled back, and you saw that one Firefly jar caused so much destruction down below. When you set those builds on fire, it hurts. Ticking for 15, and that was a great run for Stompy's trio.
Yeah, so many solos in that game too. Wakey with a big pop-off. A lot of action on all sides of the board. We have to throw it to the desk to see exactly what went down.
Game number 3, gentlemen. That's another one down in the books. And I just love kind of what they're talking about is like, it doesn't matter what these trios, what weapon, what item that they have in hand, they will utilize that to its maximum efficiency because all of them have their eyes locked on tomorrow's #1 spot. I love to see it. And I got to give it to him. Stompy trio, Joe, Shadow, y'all freaking killed it. Coming in with the victory royale. That's momentum, right? Being able to just get that ball rolling, Reese. That is exactly what they need to jumpstart their gameplay.
Yeah, these are one of the first team that I actually VOD reviewed this season to try and see their strats because I've heard a lot about how they were taking height in particular, and they're really, really good strategies to do it. Most of the time, they're just looking to get really, really far ahead at the first of moving zone, like we saw here, looking back, and then you have Joe and you have Shadow just crank for height as much as possible, use those materials, while Stompy is a little bit lower down, spraying and pressuring the teams who are still at the back of the zone. So these guys have height locked down. This is their signature playstyle. If you know Stompy, you know from any season that he's been in, he's been a high ground player, and I am not surprised to see them pick up a single victory royale today. I do want to see how this playstyle continues to work out through the other games, right? We have a plenty more to go. There are a lot of teams vying for that high ground spot still, so will they be able to keep it up? We'll have to see.
Yeah, I think that's a big question for them, right? I think the big thing is if there are games where they can't necessarily get height, what do they do from there, right? Are they a team that's going to be strong playing mid and low? Question still to be had, right? You sort of look at them versus like a Queasy, Trulex, and Juriki in terms of the style. Very similar styles in terms of the way they want to play for height, the way they do actually play for height. Queasy or Trulex and Stompy literally played with each other last season, right? So sharing similar philosophies there. But the difference between that trio is that, you know, they're a lot better in terms of when they don't get height, how do they play the game out from there? So big questions to be answered for Stompy, but to get the victory royale was really good. Like you said, Reese, not a surprise to see a team like this get a victory royale into there.
So many trios, man. Any of them could just change the standings in one game. That's all it takes. One good game. Now, I want to kind of take a step back and kind of talk through a trio that is doing well, that is actually flying under our radar right now. Reese, Levin, what you guys got for us?
Yeah, you know, for this, look, this is a trio that I've been talking about a little bit in the qualifiers of Sun, Jules, and Zico. And in game 2, these guys got 9 eliminations total. And realistically, I definitely hadn't heard much about this team coming in prior. But when I started to look back through their placements, you know, these guys are really popping off in cash cups. And then all of a sudden they start doing well in the qualifiers. And then in the heats too. This is the market sign of a team who has real potential. Now we see in the first couple games, these guys are really, really starting to move up the leaderboards in their first finals.
Yeah, these guys are just acquiring so much more experience and they're really impressing, right? You can see there some crazy shots being hit. You know, in that sort of second game, you know, third place of 9 eliminations is a huge game to have on this stage, right? It clearly isn't, you know, getting to them. The occasion, what we are doing today isn't necessarily making them nervous by any means. I think they are just looking to stick to their game, and it's been incredibly effective for them. And hopefully we'll see them, you know, continue that sort of progression over the course of the 2 days. Taking a look at the standings, though, once again, not really a surprise. I didn't really expect things to change up based off of the results from that last game, but you can see Rescott and Tretta and Mr. Savage hold on to their first place slot. Kiri actually Stormy Rat and Toos move up 1, while Houdini,
Houdini.
no Riley and Reezy. Sometimes with the plays he makes, he does look like Houdini, you know. So I'm not surprised there. But top three essentially saying somewhat the same.